Hello everyone! The filling of this ultra cheap and simple fence is very easy to transport and even carry without any problems. Hi!
Great, Prevez. Well, now we'll stretch it.
I'm visiting, without exaggeration, the guru of simple fences. This is my friend Konstantin Kanal. He's not satisfied with the old chain link fence. There's a road running along the summer house plot, and Konstantin doesn't want everyone driving by to see what's happening on his property. We're extending the round metal posts with profile pipe pieces to a height of 2.1 meters.
The cap is 50 millimeters. We'll be installing it on the posts, and the square cap, 20 by 20, will be installed on our extensions.
Chain link mesh is a very common fencing option. It's named after the German inventor Karl Rabitz, so in Russian, the name is more correct if not declined. I'm telling you this as a Belarusian. At the top of the posts, we install roofing self-tapping screws with press washers and drill tips, but don't tighten them completely. If we do, we loosen them slightly. Then we needed galvanized wire.
First, I secure the wire so that it has support. The old fence. Here, we make a loop and do the same on each span and clamp the wire itself at the tops with a washer.
Building such a fence from scratch is probably faster. You would just need to install posts with a spacing of about 3 meters and a height above ground of 2 meters and 10 centimeters. If it weren't for the chain link mesh, the work would be even easier, but it is what it is.
So we stretched the wire along the top points from the very beginning across all the posts. Now from the top point, we'll measure 2 meters with a tape measure, mark it with a marker, and also screw in roofing screws and stretch the wire.
The bottom one. Cheap fences are in high demand almost everywhere in our post-Soviet region. I've heard that the so-called Golden Billion have practically stopped fencing off their country properties a long time ago. I don't understand why this is happening. They seem completely unconcerned about their possessions' safety. A little more, a little less, it doesn't really bother them much. In a word, they're rich people.
Here we have chain link fencing. We leave it as it is. If it wasn't here, I would add another wire between the top and bottom wires.
For Eastern Slavs, a fence is nearly sacred. The taller and sturdier it is, the more respected and wealthy its owner. I've heard that the place with the tallest fences is Rubliovka near Moscow. In Rubliovka, fences reach incredible heights. The permitted fence height is clearly specified, but not everyone follows the rules.
We've unrolled the mesh. Now we're going to attach the bottom edge with these nylon ties, 2 per section for now. After that, we throw the remaining mesh over the top wire and start stretching it so there are no wrinkles.
For the Eastern Slavs, a fence is primarily about security. It's not customary for us to trust our neighbors 100%. Konstantin reached the Dasha early in the morning. I planned to join him later, and my friend asked me to collect a package at the pickup point on my way. The material that will make the fence opaque is a protective facade mesh. This mesh is used in many areas of human activity. Most often, it is used as a covering for building facades during construction, for erecting fences, and for protection from weather conditions like hail, sun, and so on. It is also used when transporting bulk cargo. The netting is available in various densities and light impermeability levels, measured as a percentage. This is not an advertisement for netting. Installing such a fence is extremely rewarding work. The result becomes noticeable instantly. The fence is complete. When this video was released, the netting fence had already lasted a year and passed its first test. I still have much less experience with fences than Konstantin, but I don't think I embarrassed myself in front of my friend. On the Yasha Koshak Songs channel, there's a video about how, with the help of his wife, he made a test sample of a fence 2 years ago. We believe that such a fence, in terms of beauty, can compete with the fences of high-status residents of elite cottage communities. At the same time, it's available to anyone who's willing to make it. All its components are inexpensive and sold in any hardware store. The fence is 90% made of lightweight foam board. Delivering all the materials for such a fence is no more difficult than delivering the mesh for Konstantin's fence. The expected service life of our fence is more than 50 years. Among the Eastern Slavs, which includes US Belarusians, the attitude toward fences is complicated. This is reflected even in the many names for them: Gorodba, Ogorozha, Izgorod, Palisad, Pleten, Tin, Chistokol. These are just the first that came to mind. In Belarusian, a fence is called plot. In Ukrainian, it's parkan. After building the fence from shade netting, we met at Konstantin's second dacha, where he continued his enlightenment. In the matter of simple fences,
This type of fence is called alpine weaving. I made it a little over 2 years ago. As you can see from its condition, it's standing. Everything is fine with it, everything is great. What is its distinctive feature? This is one of the cheapest fence options. 1 linear meter of this fence costs only 650 Russian rubles. And that's including the posts. I made the posts here out of wood, 100 by 100 millimeters, and I covered them with antiseptic XM11. That's important. It's a very strong antiseptic, the kind they even use to treat piles that are installed on piers in the sea. So after being treated with it, the wood can be in contact with the ground for about 50 years. And it doesn't rot at all. The board itself is 150 millimeters wide and only 15 millimeters thick. And thanks to this board format, it turns out to be a very budget-friendly option in terms of wood cost. And you can see that the fence hasn't warped anywhere. I didn't tamp it down, I didn't concrete it in, I just drilled holes, set the wooden posts along a string line, and simply filled them in with sand. As you can see, after 2 years, everything is holding up fine. I painted it with regular facade paint, one of the cheapest ones. There were a lot of comments about that. This staircase is perfect for thieves. If I want to get some radishes, or my neighbor wants to climb over for some parsley, yes, it's very convenient, so I recommend it. First, I put up the posts, and I built the fence itself only after the posts had been in the ground for about a year, I think. I dug up one of the posts and showed its condition. So, after treating them with this antiseptic H11, they stand for years without any problems at all, and nothing rots. I have one of my earliest videos on the channel. I'll show you how to make it yourself for a quarter of the price. I also made this type of fence. This type is called a metal picket fence. What makes it different? It's that it's made without any welding at all. Even though the fence is metal, it's made using special brackets. I also installed the posts without backfilling or cementing, just sand. Now I'll show you how the fence is doing after more than 2 years, how it's standing. Many people predicted that after the very first winter, it would bend and warp completely, and so on. I want to stress that everything depends on the soil. In my case, it's sand, which isn't heaving soil and doesn't experience frost heaving. And accordingly, fences and foundations feel great on it, so there's absolutely no need for rubble or concreting if you have good soil. As for the price, of course, this fence cost money, but again, the advantage is that it was actually built in just 1.5 days. I also installed the posts, but I did it very leisurely. So it gets assembled very quickly and in my opinion looks great. Again, many people also wrote that this is a trap for birds. I think many have seen on the internet how, between the pickets themselves, the head is hanging on one side and the bird itself is on the other. But I'll say this, it's probably either the size of the bird or the gaps between the pickets. In my case, as I recall, it's 11 millimeters. And there has never been a situation where a bird got stuck here and was left hanging, like a kebab. I'm building this fence on the street side. Again, you have to understand that every fence has its own purpose, and every fence owner has their own goals. From the street side, a concrete fence provides at least some moral protection from troublemakers, so to speak, and those looking for easy gains. It's made from concrete posts and prefabricated sections, so here there are 4 sections, meaning they're installed into the grooves on the posts. After that, everything is sealed along the seams, and you can apply some kind of decorative coating. I built this fence probably, more than 3 years ago. And as you can see, it's still standing perfectly, the posts haven't shifted, there are no cracks, everything is great. Again, you can also consider this type of fence.
My friend also knows a great recipe for cheap homemade sliding gates. All the necessary information for making them is available on the channel. Friends, 8 months have passed and I'm visiting our friend Konstantin again. Now he'll tell you about everything that happened during this time.
It's actually been longer than half a year for us. Why didn't we post the video immediately? We wanted to see how the fence would last over the winter for you. Because there are a lot of doubts, a lot of thoughts that maybe all of this could collapse under the snow, or something could happen to the material itself. We decided to wait and see, and now we have something to show you, what issues came up, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about now. What bothered me a little right away were those nasty birds. They like to sit on top, and of course, they mess up the fence. And literally just a couple of weeks after installation, there were these white spots in some places. I thought, well, the whole look is ruined. But after the rain came, it all got washed away, and I haven't really had that problem again. If a bird lands, the first rain just washes it away. Here's what happens next. You can see from the material itself that nothing has happened to it at all. Again, the reason I decided to go with this option is because I observed a similar structure in a gardening community. My neighbor has had his for about 7 years now. There haven't been any complaints, so that's a long time. This is likely a temporary option for me. I plan to use it for 3 or 4 years, but it might last longer without issues. Again, you can see at the top that there's no sagging. Everything is very even. Just like we stretched it, everything is great along the whole side. So there are no complaints about sagging. And as I already said, the material itself is excellent. Everything is great. And what issue came up? What should you keep in mind if you decide to do the same thing yourself? Here, the chain link mesh was attached to the posts. And here there's this rusty wire. And we didn't really take this into account. There were some thoughts that maybe it should be covered, but it wasn't, and the wind shakes the mesh itself, and over time, little holes appeared. But what's the big advantage of the material? They don't get any bigger, and that's pretty much how they looked in the first month or 2 after appearing. They don't spread further. That's not great news, but if you move a few meters away, you can't see them. So they say these don't affect the speed.
And how do you solve the issue with rubbing to make sure it doesn't rub through?
Again, I have chain link mesh. I didn't remove it since it was already there, so I left it. If it wasn't there, there wouldn't be fasteners, and nothing would have rubbed through. As you can see, this rubbing doesn't happen everywhere. It happens where there's rusty wire, meaning it's rough, and when the wind shakes the mesh, it gets rubbed through. How can this issue be properly resolved in general? I mean, for the future. They should have twisted the wire and made a twist at the post's end. Then it wouldn't have rubbed through at all. And another thing is the lower space. Why was it left? It's very convenient for mowing the lawn without damaging the mesh. But again, as you can see, dogs and other animals easily get in without any problem. How can this issue be solved? Very easily. You take a corrugated sheet, cut it to about 30 centimeters in height, and drive it into the ground. The corrugated sheet has a coating on it. It won't really rot, but the space will be closed off, and accordingly, you can also mow the grass. It won't really get in the way. So we've walked around the outside, and you can see here, right? There are no twists, and everything is perfectly even. There are no damages on it. Well, and what else you can pay attention to here is specifically the light transmission and how the area is visible, right? I mean, you can hardly see anything at all. We're standing about a meter away from the fence, and you really can't see anything. This raises the question of why some people create this type of mesh using only a single layer. That's not enough, because everything will be clearly visible. I mean, with 2 layers, the mesh has this level of light transmission. In my opinion, that's exactly what you need.
I'll say this, you can see these a little bit on camera, but you can't see them with your eyes. Look at the camera. Knowing about my fondness for products made of Penoplex, a friend told me about using new warm garden beds that are 90% made of extruded polystyrene. He also told me about a warm caisson where the water doesn't freeze, even in the harshest winter.
So what else new has appeared on the property? It's this small house. For now, it will serve as a small house for me, but later it will become a utility building, and on the neighboring plot, a cool house will be built. I think Yasha will insert a model to show what it will look like. But again, it's interesting that no one believes I built this structure in 7 days.
Also, my friend is very skilled in design. His simple, easy to implement designs have already been picked up by hundreds of amateur builders and have really helped many families get their own affordable country homes.
Yasha scolded me, of course. What's the Penoplex percentage in the house? I said it's a small amount, so I made these elements.
There's a video about the step-by-step making of the fence options mentioned by Konstantin on his channel, and you'll find the option made from extruded polystyrene on my channel. I learned about many modern construction innovations for the first time from my friend. Some of them seem to have come to us from space program implementations. We're rolling it on. It sticks very well. That's why I'm definitely leaving a link to Loft Do It Yourself, his channel, below the video. Subscribe, give a big thumbs up, also subscribe to Yasha Kosiak's Songs channel, subscribe to the VK group, and then all the links are below the video. Also hit the bell, and then I'll definitely keep you informed. Let there be peace worldwide. Thank you.